Hi, everybody. This is kind of take two. I had started this before, and then you know who had be mouthing off down there at my feet until I got her to settle down. So we'll start this over again. How are you today? It's kind of an overcast and gray day here. But as I said the other day, every day now is a day closer and closer to being out in the garden and being outside where it's warm and sunny, which it is none of the above for today. Listen, in one of our groups, actually, our Cup of the Bible online Bible study, if you're ever interested in joining that, it's Monday mornings, 10:30 Eastern time. And it's just a group of us who get together every Monday and either are reading and studying the Bible or something related. And right now we're doing Rob Bell's book, Everything is Spiritual, Who We Are and What We're Doing Here. Just started it, actually, this last Monday. But if you're interested, get in touch with me and I'll send you the link. We always love welcoming new people. Right now, if everybody's there, I think we have 9, maybe. It's a small group, but we get into great discussions. Anyway, this is part of his book. It's found on page 25 if you have the book. He writes, "When I was a kid, my parents took us to church. I found much of it rather uninspiring. But those Jesus stories, they did something to me. What struck me in those stories was how the biggest mysteries are found in the smallest things. A woman needs some dough. A party needs more wine. A man buries a seed. Rocks cry out. Something infinite happening in all that dirt and sweat and stuff of life. Blood and crowds and roads and friends. In those Jesus stories, that's where the life, the action, the divine is found." I assume I wouldn't have articulated it like that as a kid. I probably would have simply said that I sensed there's more going on here. That's why I resonated with those Jesus stories, because in them, there's always more going on here. I like that, and I like thinking about life that way and focusing on, the little things, which of course is, I hope, what Prayerful Pause meditations do. They focus on the little things around us, whether we're out in the garden or we're talking about ideas or things that are happening in the world. But I know that in the world right now, there's a lot of ambient anxiety, more than just COVID, because of what's happening with riots and seditionists and the insurrection movement and many more things. There's a lot going on. And I think that the more we can focus on what gives us comfort and the little things, the more we can see God in the little things, the more comfort we can find. Because when we do that, we realize that God is not just in the little things, but in all of the larger things as well. I think this world is really, you know what it makes me think of? Do you remember when we were little and they came out, now they're more common, but they came out with these corrugated pictures. Do you remember? And if you tilted it one way, you'd see one picture, and then if you tilted it the other, you'd see another. There was one I distinctly remember. I must have been about 5 or 6, because we moved from that house when I was 8. And if you looked at it one way, it was a pine tree. And if you tilted it just a little and you looked at the other side, it was a beautiful cardinal in the pine tree. To me, that's what's going on in the world today. We have the way that we are looking at the world, but if we look just slightly askew, we can see the KOG, the kingdom, the realm of God. We can see the dimension. I know some people get hung up on this word kingdom. I understand it. They also don't like the word Lord, the name Lord for God. It makes them think of the colonization that was done in the name of the church. I totally get that. I can respect that. But I come from communities that want to reappropriate language. I mean, when I was in seminary, the far right were really giving Jesus believers, in my opinion, a bad name. They were impatient. They were not willing to invite new people in. They were really rigid. They were judgmental. And a bunch of us decided, and this was 30 years ago, 30 plus, when I was in seminary, that we were going to take our Jesus back, because that wasn't who Jesus was to us. And you don't do that by not using the word Jesus. You use it by, you do it by using his name and giving a different association to it. That's been true for many movements. I think about the gay liberation movement, and how even that term gay was at one time really seen as a put down of someone. Oh, you're so gay. But then it became a sign of empowerment to others. We find it linguistically around the world. The idea is the same behind it. Take what people are using against you and make it your strength. So when I think about that in terms of the KOG, the kingdom or kingdom of God, I want to take that back, not because I think that God is some king and we are vassal serfs, but because it strikes me as more of a broad-brushed dimension. I tend to think in dimensions anyway, and overlapping holographic dimensions. I think of it as the dimension of God, and somehow DOG, the dimensions of God, just doesn't make it for obvious reasons. And so, I defer to the aforementioned KOG. But anyway, I think that when we tilt our corrugated picture a different way, then even around us within this world, we can see the kingdom, the KOG of God, where everything is under God's rule. And therein we can find some comfort, which brings me to today's daily word. I think it's for today. Yes, the 13th. And the word is comfort for today, which we can all use right now. The presence of God within is my source of comfort and strength. So we should try repeating that throughout the day. The presence of God within is my source of comfort and strength. The presence of God within. The presence of God within is my source of comfort and strength. And here's what the writers have to say about that. Remembering that God is within me, now and always, helps me cope in trying and difficult situations, which I'd say we qualify. Life has its ups and downs, its triumphs, and even tragedies. But I am able to weather any storm and be grateful in every experience when I rely on the presence of God within. I not only grow in understanding and faith, but I become more aware of my indwelling divinity that leads me on the path of peace. Let me read that again. I not only grow in understanding and faith, but I become more aware of my indwelling divinity that leads me on the path of peace. I will not leave you are words that I have said to my loved ones when they needed support or encouragement. I've said them. Have you? It's okay. I'm right here. I won't leave you. And I feel those words deep within me now as I seek peace and comfort from my awareness of God. Notice the writer didn't say when I seek God, because God is already here. It's our awareness of God that needs to be heightened, perhaps, or stimulated or activated. Knowing I do not face any situation alone is a beautiful comfort to me now and always. And I would submit that is never more needed by us than right now, with what's going on in our world between COVID and insurrection and what's happening with our government and how we're responding and. And then it closes with a quote from John 14, verse 18, I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. And as Rob Bell points out, God comes to us in the little things, the small things around us. So today I'm encouraging us to look at small things. I have a new friend who will often write about what she experiences and when she's out walking in nature. She sees the little things and then she shares them so we're all enriched. But it's the little things. It's whether I'm sitting here looking out my window at a leaf that is still attached to the giant tree when all the others have left, or I'm seeing where there is a piece of wood that's out there weathering in the cold, and I watch my ornamental grasses blowing with the cold winter wind, even though there's no snow. The drabness of the dark browns and the greens and the grays all sort of blend together now in this kind of impressionistic portrait of winter without snow. As much as I am not crazy about shoveling snow, it is beautiful and we need it. And right now we are in a snow drought here in this part of New York State. And it will show up next year in crops and in flowers and things that haven't been fed over the winter. So we never get away from it. We can't cheat nature. But it behooves us to pay attention because, in that leaf that's still hanging on, I can find strength to hang on. And in the wood that's being weathered out there, I can relate my life. I can know that God is steadily with me even as I age and I'm feeling beaten and weathered by the storms. So I invite you to look at the small things today. All right, thank you for joining me for this period to think of something greater than ourselves. In this case, something smaller, greater but smaller. And that's what our prayerful pause with the pastor is all about, just carving out a time to focus on something other than just what's going on around us. Turn the TV off today for a while. Give your mind a break, mind and heart and soul a break. Okay, I'm Pastor Deb Swift of South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York, and thank you for joining me here. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, please be safe. God bless. Take care. And bye for now.